Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Nationals podcast. Today it is the 8th of April, 2022, and a little bit late on this, but got a lot going on right now. We're going to break down last night's Nationals loss 5-1 on opening day to the New York Mets and look ahead to tonight where Max Scherzer makes his official return as a player to Nationals Park for the first time since he was traded to the Dodgers back in the summer of 2021. All that and more coming up on today's show.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, once again, everybody, Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Nationals podcast. Not going to go as long as normal today. If you can't hear it in my voice, I'm a bit under the weather as it is right now. Allergies. I'm sure a lot of you all, too, are suffering the allergies. Tough game to be in when talking is part of what you do for a living and allergies come into play. We're sticking it out. I had to work all morning, so not able to record a podcast, and now is finally able to. Not going to just act like you guys didn't see what happened last night. Mets 5, Nationals 1. Your winning pitcher was Tyler Mcgill. Your losing pitcher was Patrick Corbin. The Mets got 2 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th, and 1 in the 7th. Nationals got 1 in the 6th, courtesy of a Juan Soto home run. Let's get into all of it here as we do. Quick word from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by Built Bar. Go to Built.com today. It's Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com today. All right, so last night's game, what is the really important stuff to note? What do we witness? Well, Patrick Corbin, while he was in the losing end, 4 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 4 Ks. You might say it's kind of old Patrick Corbin, but I think for a lot of us who watched last year and saw just how real his struggles were, sometimes from pillar to post in outings, and sometimes it was like, you hit the 5th inning and it would be an explosion. This was a positive step, in my opinion. I had people texting me last night saying, wow, Corbin looks really sharp. And yes, it was a short amount of time, but that's how a lot of these guys are going to go. Different spring training, they're going to ramp them up differently. He threw 76 pitches, 44 of them for strikes. I thought the slider did look sharp. He did have 4 Ks. Did have the 5 hits last night as well. So I thought it was a mixed bag, but generally speaking, I thought it was an improvement on a lot of what we saw last year. I really do believe that we did see some improvement. But this once again, the real measure of that is going to be as the season went along. Fastball still around the low 90s, a lot of 91. I think I was seeing on that new Mason look on the scoreboard, which we'll get to here in a little bit. 91 was mostly where I think he was popping on that fastball. Slider looked really good, though. Slider was wipeout. It was effective. I think there was some questions about third time to the lineup. It's kind of why they got Corbin out of there when they did. But I think from that perspective, there were encouraging signs. All right. And look, they don't need Corbin to be lights out 2019 Corbin this year to win. They need to make sure he's building back towards that. So when they want to contend again, if they, soon, next couple of years, or at least attempt to be competitive again, he's in the right spot. He's in the right spot as a player. His performances are in the right spot as well. So obviously something that we'll be tracking, Patrick Corbin's performances last night on the wrong end of it, but still, it was only 2 earned runs that he gave up through the 4 innings that he worked. On the other side, I will say this, got to give some credit while we're talking about starting pitchers. Tyler Mcgill was very sharp. I was actually surprised I didn't leave him out there for another inning, but I don't think the Mets wanted to get greedy. It's probably the right decision that they made. But that fastball, for somebody, I was not paying attention much of spring training to where Tyler Mcgill was. Fastball, man, was really good. I mean, that thing was up 98. He hit 99 on the gun last night, and Mcgill goes 5 innings, 3 hits, 6 Ks, and, set them up in a good spot. And once again, I thought he could have gone an extra inning. That 5th inning, though, did go 4th to 5th, I forget which one it was. Yeah, the 5th inning, the bottom of the 5th, did go pretty long. So I think at 68 pitches, they were pretty content with performance. And how could you not be? I mean, he was really strong throughout, and that, once again, that fastball was on point. The big moment for the Nationals came following his exit. So Trevor May comes in the game, and it looked a little shaky, surrendered 3 hits, but the earned run he surrendered was a Juan Soto home run. I said this, I was actually watching the game with a buddy, and I said during the game, said they should walk Soto here. They should intentionally walk Juan Soto in this spot. If they really invested in just trying to make sure they can keep down lineup. And they said, well, it's a 4-0 game. If it was a tie game, maybe. It was a 1-run game, maybe. 4-0 game, why not pitch to him? It's a fair point, right? My opinion was that, hey, you might let him start getting back in the game to give him some momentum. He said, well, it's only 1 run. I think it's fair both ways. I mean, even with the home run, it's fair both ways. It's the only run that they score. But also, too, it's like, man, I felt like the Nationals were actually, thinking about a comeback, mounting a comeback at that point. So I thought it was an interesting decision. And Juan Soto turns on that ball and cranks it into right center field. Really cool moment. If you guys saw, a kid got the ball, and the dad who was with him, he was corny, whatever you want to say, but he goes, that's my boy. It almost reminded me of Harry Potter when Cedric Diggory's dad was like, that's my boy, but it was sad. But he was like, that's my boy, pointing right at his kid, which I thought was hilarious and also a fun baseball moment. Opening day, it's back. We love it. It's a cool family moment. Good thing to see. So I thought that was really cool. But, in a game that was offensively, the Nationals were not there a whole lot. We'll get to more of that in a second. Soto, man, just turning on that ball and making that happen. 1 for 3 last night with a walk was the Nationals 2-hole hitter and star Juan Soto. Pitching the rest of the way, let's get on the Nats stuff. So, this was a year we talked about some guys getting chances to show, can they be a part of the Nationals' future? Well, I'm starting to think Austin Voth, we've had enough time. We've evaluated for a while now. I think there's some clear signs that he might not be a part of this thing moving forward. It's tough. It's a guy the Nationals had some ideas about, but has not worked out for them. And so last night did not work out either. 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 K. Andres Machado as well did not look very strong in the inning in his third. Patrick Murphy did work arounds, 2 hits, and throw a scoreless inning. Mason Thompson, though, throws the 9th. No hits, no runs, 3 Ks, 27 pitches. It did have to work a little bit. But Mason Thompson, man, this is a guy that, I didn't want to give too much too fast. He gave the 9th inning, but a losing game. They were down at the time. So I don't think that means they're going to give him the 9th inning in the future. But I think that, it's an encouraging sign. That's somebody that in the future we're talking about, hey, could this be a premier setup man if everything breaks right? Last night he showed a lot of that sharpness, the 3 Ks. So I would say on the encouraging side, the pitching side, while we're still there, Mason Thompson, definitely something that's encouraging to look at. And then the Nationals, they didn't get any hits the rest of the way. The last 3 innings, Ottavino, Lugo, and Diaz all looked pretty sharp. And so, they were able to kind of control the game in that sense. Not as many guys left on base for the Nats. They left 7 on base. We saw much worse last year, right? We saw numbers that were a lot worse. 1 for 7 runners in scoring position. That's what the Nationals do have to improve. Let's get to that in a second. But first, one more word from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by BetOnline and BetOnline.net. You guys go to BetOnline today. They've got odds for baseball. They've got odds for basketball. They've got odds for soccer, hockey, F1, NASCAR. Whatever you could think of, they've got at BetOnline and BetOnline.net today. Go to BetOnline. It's where the game starts. All right, so hitting-wise, here's what you got. Just run through it. Hernandez, 1 for 4. Soto, 1 for 3 with a walk. Cruz, 0 for 4. Bell, 1 for 4. Ruiz, 2 for 4. Thomas, 0 for 3 with a walk. Franco, 0 for 4. Escobar, 1 for 4. Robles, 0 for 2. All right, so a few things here on this point. Robles actually did get a job in a couple times, some sacrifice action. So, execution for him, strong. He had a really nice bunt on the right side that moved a runner over. They did almost get Alcides Escobar picked off, but the throw was so far in time that Alonso turns around a tag, and Escobar is like so dead that he's not even there yet. And Alcides did a good job getting around Pete Alonso to get back to first. So I thought Soto last night, it was interesting to see. Mcgill got him with that 98-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone, but still, with 1 for 3 the walk, it's a home run. It's a good night at the yard for him. Tough night for Cruz, not getting anything accomplished, but we have to go to Keibert Ruiz last night, 2 for 4. Thought he was really good behind the plate, active. Threw a guy out in the first, second inning? First inning, I think. Yeah, threw somebody out. First or second. Totally losing track of which inning it was, but throw somebody out, which was really impressive. Hit the one out that he had early on in the game was a well hit ball to center. Hits the ball to right field for a double, and this is a guy that he's hitting. And Matt Wyrick made a point the other day on Twitter where he said, "Look, it looks like Keibert Ruiz is bringing his stick to the regular season. He was hitting well towards the back end. He homered twice in 2 games, and so this is a guy that tempered expectations once again, but showing the right signs on both sides already in the first game. He got it in terms of gifts. Can you display it? Yes. Can you display it consistently? That's the next question. It's a game-by-game thing, but he played well. Let's keep tabs on that and see what kind of performance we get from Keibert Ruiz, one of the 2 crown jewels of the Max Scherzer trade from last season. So I think that's really the high point. If you want to note, hitting-wise, back part of the lineup obviously struggled. Wish we were seeing Carter Kieboom, right? Wish that was the guy that we were seeing in this position at third base, but Maikel Franco is the guy they have to deal with. He had one play where he made a difficult play, he had 2 of them where he was ranging, had to hit third, made the throw over, and made the second one pretty well. So Franco did have a nice play that we saw last night. Obviously not the number 1 choice. Be interesting to see what happens. He's got, I think, he'd play his way, maintaining that position once we see, once we get Carter Kieboom back into the swing of things, once we see that happen. But D. Strange Gordon to another guy we have to look at. Not seeing action in the lineup last night. So this is an interesting now mix that you've got, and we'll see. Once again, one game, not enough to judge these guys, but opportunities to prove yourselves aplenty right now for the Nationals. All right, let's talk about the broadcast stuff. So, I thought Kevin Franzen was sharp last night. Once again, I mentioned this when they went ahead and announced Kevin Franzen was going to be the guy who's on commentary. And I think one thing about this is he knows the division so well, playing for both the Nats and the Phillies, that means he can give his perspective on everybody because he's played against all the teams, playing for 2, now broadcasting for 1. He knows everybody pretty well, right? So he knows the ballparks well. He obviously, the guy's got a good baseball mind. Talking last night, enjoyed a lot of his commentary, just kind of the X's and O's and stuff. And I think that's where he might be a bit of a departure from FP. While he did bring great X's and O's analysis, felt like a bit more of a positive energy guy for the Nationals. And sure, you're going to get some of that from Franzen, but really just a good technical breakdown. Really good technical breakdown last night. It was cool to see him. They showed the shots during the game, if you missed it, of him in the clubhouse with all the guys after that 2014 division championship. And, all of the guys, winning the division, all the guys in the dugout or in the clubhouse, and them pouring beer on Dan Kolko, and just a cool moment. And he said, he's spoken about this a lot, that team had the best chemistry of any team that he's been a part of. And so that's pretty cool to think. And that's cool to, that he wants to come back and be a part of it in a way again. So I enjoyed that. The new box, at first didn't like it, first thought, and then I'm like, I like this. Because we all know the old Masson box, man, it looks like it's out of 2010. It looks like they needed to give it a facelift, and I'm really glad they did in terms of production value. Still upset those guys can't go on the road with the team. Would love to see that. I know it's getting closer to actually, less than 5 hours away from Max Scherzer making his return, but let's just touch on that really fast. Tonight, Max Scherzer is going to make his return to Nationals Park. He's going to do it in a Mets jersey. Josiah Gray against Max Scherzer. That story writes itself. Max Scherzer is going against a guy that the Nationals traded for to trade Max Scherzer away. Things to watch. we need Josiah Gray to keep the ball in the yard, right? That's Nationals fans. That is what you're saying right now. He has had a really difficult problem last season and in spring training with keeping the baseball inside the ballpark. So that's something to watch for Josiah Gray. And obviously, Max Scherzer, really cool moment with him returning to Nats Park. Let's see what it looks like. I'm really excited to see the matchup back and forth between, or not back and forth, but just the matchup of Juan Soto against Max Scherzer, right? I think both those guys really want to get each other, just knowing that those two played together while each one was on the top of their respective games, in my opinion. I think each one of those guys displayed that they were the best in the sport at their positions while they were playing for the Nationals. So let's look for that tonight as well. All right, that will do it for the show a little bit faster, as I told you guys. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at LO_Nationals. You guys can follow me at JoshNeighbors_. Till next time, my friends, as always, stay safe.